You don't just wake up a full-blown alcoholic one day without any pre-existing behaviors or signs. And I want you to understand that you can take steps before you get there, before you actually hit rock bottom, to turn your life around. And the sooner you do it, the sooner you might be able to even become a moderate drinker, or the less painful it'll feel to say goodbye to alcohol completely. Hey, what's up, my free and powerful friend? I'm Magnify Maggie. I'm the creator of the Magnify Method, which is an alternative recovery approach. I help you learn to think different in order to drink different, or never again. So make sure you subscribe, because we're talking all types of education, motivation, things that AA and the 12 steps aren't telling you. Taking it back, I myself was programmed to believe since age 7 that addiction is permanent. Addiction is a disease that's passed along genetically, and once an addict, always an addict. I learned this because my own mother lived out that lifestyle. And I really have a problem with this programming and this belief. It really locks us into this idea that addiction is black or white and that there's no gray area. But I'm a huge fan of the new addiction science that's being put out in literature and in studies that's stating that alcohol is actually a spectrum disorder, and that on that spectrum, there's different types of approach for recovery. The new literature points to alcohol use disorder before you ever become that full-blown alcoholic. And on this spectrum, there's different types of drinkers. And learning this information totally set off these light bulbs in my mind that different types of drinkers need different types of approaches, different types of methods that are going to help them find success, rather than just that kind of pigeonholed approach of, oh, you struggle with alcohol? AA it is. So this is a new conversation we're starting, and I want you to know that alcohol use disorder does not mean that you're going to be diseased forever. And even if you hit that severe end of the spectrum, what we do call alcohol dependency, alcoholism, there's still ways to reverse it and gain your health and vitality back. Just because somebody reaches that end of the spectrum doesn't mean that they're like that for life. Once you reach that severe end, doesn't mean that, hey, if you lay off alcohol for 20 years and then you take one sip, you're right back at that end of the severe spectrum. And that's kind of the narrative that traditional recovery approaches really spin. I talk to countless people every day saying, I haven't drank for 5 years, but I know the moment I had one sip, I would just let it take me away again. That's kind of an attitude, and that's not proven through science. Actually, if you took your power back and you had one sip and you said, I'm powerful over this, you would probably see that you don't really like it. You don't really need it. And it was the attitude of necessity that actually caused you to form that severe alcoholism. I myself had basically been living on that spectrum for almost 16 years. And had I not put my foot down before I reached severe physical and mental dependency, I would not be where I'm at now. I think that a big issue with the recovery industry is that it does really promote waiting until the last minute, waiting until hitting rock bottom to make any changes. And I'm putting my foot down against that and really hoping to inspire people to reshape their relationship with alcohol, help you revisit your confidence and your abilities and all of your ambitions so that alcohol is a non-factor, so that alcohol is not taking over your life anymore. And if you fall on this spectrum and you're dissatisfied with your current behavior, with your current activities, how you spend your time, if you're dissatisfied, then that is the most creative state. Use that dissatisfaction to fuel you into taking different action. Use that dissatisfaction. If you're really pissed off at yourself, get excited, because that means that you're going to be motivated and enthused to try new things. There's 4 different progressional levels of the alcohol use disorder spectrum. And no matter where you fall, whether you're at low to no risk or moderate risk, high risk, or severe, there's still hope. Alcohol is neither bad or good. It's just this liquid that sits in a bottle. And if you're struggling right now, I want you to understand that the sooner you take action, the sooner you'll find positive results. The easier it will be to transform your life. You might be wondering about those 4 stages and where on the spectrum you're falling right now. So let's talk about stage 1, kind of the low to no risk drinker, doesn't experience any legal issues or any health issues, but perhaps is experiencing less energy and less vitality, less optimism, because alcohol does impair your ability to move past anxiety and depression. It's a depressant. So the low to no risk group usually still finds some sort of dissatisfaction with their mental health. So if that's you, that means that you just want to put your foot down before you reach stage 2. Stage 2 is where you're experiencing mild to moderate drinking issues or issues with alcohol. So your tolerance is beginning to increase, meaning that you need to drink more and are able to feel the same amount of buzz. And you might be experiencing a messier life, things that are just getting more chaotic. You're procrastinating more, your familial relationships are less healthy. You're starting to think in terms of alcohol, relating every experience or endeavor to when can I drink, or is there going to be alcohol available? That brings us to stage 3, which is high risk drinkers, but they are not classified as being alcohol dependent. So these people are likely experiencing legal issues, work issues, tension with their family, tension with their employers about their drinking habits specifically. This is when it starts to become very difficult to hide things under the rug because you're starting to use at high risk. High risk meaning above 4 drinks per day. Now, the kind of recommended daily allowance of alcohol for anybody, 2 drinks per day, 2 servings per day for a male, and 1 serving per day for a female. Now, no matter what your gender is, once you start taking those drinks beyond the point of 4 per day, that's what qualifies you as a high-risk drinker and being within this the stage 3 column of the alcohol use disorder spectrum. What's funny is that this is typically the stage where people start to seek help, but they're so caught up in the habit and also not thinking that they're that bad that they don't take any action. They don't take any action until they actually hit stage 4, where it becomes a lot more difficult to bounce back with health standards, if any kind of legal issues have really become hard to avoid, and then issues with work and family as well. So what I say is if you're in stage 3, if you're just realizing that, you know what, you're receiving, consequences, DUIs, you're getting job demotions or even getting laid off of your job, I want you to know that you don't need to let it progress any further. You can put your foot down now and it's going to be so much of an easier process to get your life back. And that brings us to severe alcohol dependence, the most severe end of the spectrum. So this group has a very high tolerance. I could say that I was actually teetering between 3 and 4. There was actually periods of time where I did suffer alcohol physical dependence. I was drinking 15, sometimes even 20 ounces of hard liquor per day, per setting. And it was the next morning not being able to get through without having a drink. That's typically how stage 4 starts. People in stage 3 think that, oh, well, I don't have to drink every day, or I don't drink until 5 p.m., so I'm fine. And then stage 4, one of the big kind of precursors to that is when you wake up and you think the only way to get through the day is to give yourself a shot of alcohol in order to alleviate the shakes or make yourself feel okay to go on for the day, basically get through the withdrawals. So if you're in stage 4 and you're starting to see those patterns or you've been experiencing those patterns, I want you to know that there is help beyond of what you might have tried if AA or the 12 steps has not helped you. This is a very important and big passion of mine to help people in this position, because if you are a parent, your kids are going through something that is lifelong, and the experiences, while you might think are totally about you, they are going to leave imprints on your kids, your family, your work, and your future. So I just want to say that even if you are in stage 4, it's not too late. Yes, it's easier for stages 1 through 3 to come back, bounce back, but just because you're at stage 4 doesn't mean that there's no hope. Kind of like Mike the Situation says, the greater the setback, the greater the comeback, right? So I want to kind of inspire you and give you that compassion that I understand where you are. I've been there. I've watched people be there. I've experienced it as the child, watching my mom, and I want to help you. I want to give you that hope and that ambition that life can be beautiful again, and that life could have nothing to do with alcohol. One day you could go through your entire 24-hour period without thinking about alcohol, and then that's going to grow into a week, into a month, into a year. And if you see alcohol, it's kind of like, oh, that's the old me, and I don't need to do that anymore. I'm finding so much happiness here now. So no matter where you fall on the spectrum, I want you to make sure you embrace the attitude of comeback, the attitude of power, the attitude that you can do whatever you set your mind to. With the right support and the right strategies, you are limitless. So make sure that you subscribe, because I'm bringing so much more to the table every week to help you start to think different in order to drink different or never again, which means that you're going to be living the best of the rest of your life.